Simplified Chaos, episode 161.
Life is beautiful and full of chaos.
And it can get slightly out of hand if that shit's not tamed.
We're here to share how to simplify the little things to help you lead a more intentional life.
This is Simplified Chaos.
Hey everybody, welcome to Simplified Chaos. This is Jillian and I'm with my co-host and husband, Nicholas.
What's going on, folks? We hope you all are having a wonderful week. We've got another great episode here for you today. This is another one of our Against the Grain series episodes. Jilly, what are we going to be talking about and what are we going against the grain this week?
We are chatting all about health, well-being, just overall, feeling good.
Health. Yes. There's a lot of things that we're doing differently when it comes to our health, and I'm excited to share it. I think we can go down a couple rabbit holes in this episode, but there's going to be a lot of good information we're going to share, so stay tuned. But before we dive into health and how we're going against the grain, I'd like to show a little gratitude. So Jilly, what are you grateful for this week?
I am grateful for our daughter.
Who, Lucille?
Oh, yeah.
Why would you be grateful for her?
Well, her birthday's tomorrow.
I know, my goodness.
For making me a mama, for changing my life, my world. I mean, we wouldn't be living the life we were today if it wasn't for her redirecting us and really looking at our life with a magnifying glass and creating our, just creating our dream life, so to speak. And damn, can't believe she's going to be 4.
Yeah.
I'm just reminiscing. I was watching videos of her when she was younger. I'm sure a lot of parents may or may not do that. With Google Photos, it's things
Google
pop up.
Photos just serves that shit right up.
And I'm just going down memory lane, just watching her progress. And I don't know. I'm not emotional yet. I'm going to be in my period in the mid-month. So I'm sure it'll just come out oh my God. I'm having discussions with Lucille today. Lucille, I don't want you to grow up. How about you just stop? She's like, no, Mom, I really want to have a birthday party. Or I really want to do the piñata tonight. I really want to have cupcakes, It's just cute hearing the reasons why. And man, I just can't get enough of her mind and her energy and just her. So I'm just, Lucille's rad, man.
It's hard to top that one.
Sorry about that.
No, it's
all
all
good. What about
good.
you, Chief?
Well, I'm grateful for the gorgeous weather that we're experiencing and that we had this past weekend. We had temperatures in the low 80s and no humidity, which is kind of unheard of around here in Virginia/Maryland. But it allowed us to get a lot done this weekend, and it was very pleasant doing that. So we went to the gym. Not to the gym. Oh my goodness. What are we talking about?
I don't think I've heard the word gym in your vocabulary.
No. What the hell's a gym? We went to the dump.
Speaking of health, we don't go to gyms.
Yeah. We're going against the grain on that one too. But we went to the dump. Then we came back here and I primered the door this weekend and painted the front door. So we gave our house a little personality for its 1-year anniversary. So we painted the door a nice green. We had an opportunity to go to a winery. We had some pool time this weekend. I mean, it was just gorgeous. So I'm just so grateful that we had this awesome weather, and then we had a lot of outdoor time and got to experience a lot of vitamin D.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right, Jilly. We're going against the grain. I'm going to say that 1,000 times this episode. And today we're talking about health, nutrition, mental health, anything under health that you can think of.
And to preface, we are not medical practitioners.
No.
We are not doctors. Please do not use this as a consult at all or take our advice seriously. Please consult yourself and I don't know. It's
and a
weird,
medical professional, whichever ones you trust.
Exactly. Your trusted advisor in the health department.
Yes. Today we're going to be talking about some things that have been really working for us, some pivots that we've made, even since we started talking about, health and nutrition and food when we started this podcast has changed a lot. And particularly recently, but overall, I would say that the schmandemic
Schmandemics?
can't say the P word.
Why not?
I don't know. You can get suppressed and stuff like that. Anyways,
Oh,
has changed a lot in how we view our health and in general. And, we've made a lot of changes in particularly this year. And we're just kind of excited to share them because we do feel like what we're doing kind of goes against the grain of what we're taught in school and what we're taught about health and nutrition. And so, we just kind of want to share what's working with us today. But again, we are not medical experts. We do a lot of reading ourselves and make decisions for ourselves. And we highly recommend that you talk with a trusted medical professional or a trusted nutrition professional to make any decisions in your lives.
totally.
So where do you want to start here, Jilly?
I mean, let me just say overall, I feel like before I viewed health as compartmentalized. I put things in different boxes. Like there's a box for nutrition, that's separate. There's
Right.
a box for therapy, that's different. There's a box for physical health, that's different. And I've learned, like, to me, it's all bullshit, like compartmentalizing it. And I think it's just like the system that we have all of these different specialists in all these different compartments. It's like, why isn't there like one person overall to like bring it all together, to marry it more, or to have people in our life that we can trust? And there are people out there, but like the doctors that I've gone to, it's like if I see an eye doctor, I go to a dentist, they're not asking me about my diet, they're
Right.
not asking me about lifestyle change, like habits. So I guess we're kind of trained or brainwashed, so to speak, that everything is supposed to be separate. And now I'm realizing that everything is connected. And I can say now that with the way we live, I feel like everything is kind of falling into place now. Like with our lifestyle, it's not like we're separating things into different places in our life. It's like our movement is aligned to our lifestyle, and the food we're eating is aligned to where we're living, and it's local, and our mental health is aligned to like what we're consuming, the people we're around. And I think all of that goes all together, and that was not how I viewed health at all. Even someone who, I was a nutrition coach for some time, and even the textbook and the content that I learned, it was all pretty much bullshit. Like
Right.
I look back and I was just like, man, like I've done so much growth. I've had so much growth and evolving and learning and constant learning. Like it's not something that has just stayed the same and I've stayed stagnant. It's quite magical too that it's changed so much, and it's kind of going back to the way kind of we were we were starting in the beginning, like just being human beings and like eating the land, eating the food we were farming, and like the activity we did was getting out in the sun and moving our bodies, and it all kind of like went hand in hand. And it's interesting trying to connect those pieces now, being that we don't live on a farm, we're not raising our own food right now, or, so it's like, how do we connect all of this beautiful nature stuff together to like live healthy, vibrant lives? And I just love the direction that we're headed, and it feels natural. It feels like we're flowing with life versus against it. And it's one of those topics that, like you said, like we want to share and talk about because maybe other people have been struggling with it as well. And I think mindset, movement, nutrition, what you consume, input, output, like it all matters, and it all is interconnected.
Yeah, I want to touch a little bit upon what we are kind of taught. And you mentioned something earlier, like we had pretty much siloed different parts of our health. And what we really are discovering, for ourselves is that it's a holistic approach. You can't just silo off one thing or another. There's so many things that affect different parts of your health. And so, even when it comes to dental, your gut health can actually determine your gum health.
It
And
does.
it's crazy. So
Yeah.
dentists don't ask those kinds of questions about, what you're consuming and your gut health. And so it just makes you wonder, like, how haven't we put all these things together? And it's because there's been so many specialties. But like, I look at the things that we're taught about food, what we're taught about health. And, it's very hard for me to trust somebody and a particular organization that rhymes with hoverment, when they bring you stuff like called the food pyramid, that is complete bullshit. That is actually making you sicker. When it's like the grains and stuff like that. I mean, come on. But it's crazy to me that we're taught all these different things. We're diving into a lot of different things about salt. And how salt has gotten a bad rap and is almost demonized. The same thing with I don't want to call it meat, but like animal foods. It can be anything within
And
that.
fats, yeah.
Yeah, and fat and all that stuff, and like everything that we've been told. When you grow up, with the food pyramid and stuff like that, we're discovering that there's the research that's out there is not really good research. A lot of it is epidemiology, which is not technically scientific. It's about feelings and whatnot. But more importantly, like a lot of the things that we believe are true are things that experts say are true, but have never actually had studies to actually back that up. It's only been true because expert has said it's true. And so, like, there's just so many things that I feel like we've been fed that go against our health, and it really, it pisses me off to a certain extent, just because this is our health in our lives that we're looking at, and right now we are in the middle of a pandemic, and I feel like so many lives can be saved if people were given the right health advice and nutrition, and more importantly the right nutritional advice. A lot of things that we're discovering can be cured based on changes in diet and what people are consuming. And it's unfortunate, like a lot of the stuff at the supermarket is just freaking junk. That is full of seed oils and is heavily processed, and we need to kind of get back to our roots. Actually, there's this one doctor who said, I think it was Dr. James Nicolantonio or something like that. I'm butchering his name, but he said you should really start trusting foods that were around before 1900. And I was like, wow, I mean that's absolutely right. But yeah, I mean, we've taken a deep dive into nutrition and have gone into a more animal based diet and very low, if not processed foods. And we want to thank Dr. Bill Schindler, who has this amazing book that and he's been on a lot of podcasts as well. But it's called Eat Like a Human, and that's really just kind of changed our lives and changed our nutrition and our outlook on health. And it's just been awesome.
Yeah. And like I said, this is definitely like our personal journey. So please do your research as well. But we will put in the show notes some of the resources that we have found extremely helpful. But yeah, as far as food, like we've kind of gone back to like the natural flow of things, like right where we live in Central Virginia. There's a lot of great local farms and small businesses that produce and make their own food. So we know the people that are making it. So right now we're consuming like local meat. We're going straight to the farm to talk to them about, the food and the animals and to check out the scenery and what's
right.
the conditions. And, we're going to a local spot to buy like cheeses made with ingredients that cheeses are supposed to be made with. Like this book that we've been reading has like been so eye-opening on like the ingredients that's supposed to be in cheese. And most of the cheeses in the grocery store, the ingredient rennet that's supposed to be in cheese to help the fermentation process, and I hope I'm not butchering this, and I don't want to quote anything, but it's missing in almost all of the cheeses in the grocery store, maybe for 2 or 3. And it's just fascinating the more we dive into like the way things are supposed to be processed or made so that humans can consume it and get the bang for their buck of nutritional value versus like wasted crap going in our bodies and then coming back out or making us sick. It's just not happening. So we haven't been driving that far to get really good things.
No.
And if we do, it's like, it's worth it. We know how we're feeling, our energy levels. Nick and I are going to be getting some blood work done. We want to have some more data on this, but we've been feeling really good. It's great being able to kind of go back and stick to like local produce, local food. Not many hands have been in the mix and like preparing it and like getting it on the shelf. It's like straight from the farm. So yeah, I would say our food consumption has been dramatically changed in that we're just kind of being mindful of where our food comes from, trying to get it locally sourced,
Yeah.
and buying it as close to real as we can.
Yeah, no, that's definitely been like a big part of it. And it's funny, like once you start eating, I don't want to call it real foods, but foods that have not been processed, it's such a difference. Like you eat, and then when you feel full, you don't feel like that full bloaty kindness. It's more of like you feel satiated, like I'm good, and you have that energy throughout the day. And it's just an amazing feeling. And you can really tell, like when you eat something that is processed, I mean, it is night and day in the way that you feel. Like it's a different kind of fullness, so to say. I mean, it is bloatiness. I mean, we over the weekend indulged a little bit, and had some wood fire pizza from a good pizza place around here, but felt like shit afterwards. I was ready to take a nap. Like it just didn't, I didn't feel optimal after that. And it's good to have those reminders that
Totally.
hey, yeah, this food tastes good, but at the end of the day, it's not doing anything for me except for that instant gratification on the taste. And tastes are manipulated because things are processed. So we're really diving deep into, again, like an animal based kind of diet, a sapien diet. There's a lot of different names for it. Very heavy on animal or meat, supplemented with fruit, certain vegetables that are low in toxicity, and a lot of salt. Salt has been making a comeback. And the one thing that I've noticed about having a higher salt intake is that I have zero desire for sugar anymore. Like sweet things just are not, I just don't even crave it. Like I hear the word chocolate or ice cream and I'm just like, I don't need that. And I used to be the first person to line. I would devour a Hershey's bar or a Reese's peanut butter cup or, a half tub of ice cream. Like that was my jam. And just now the thought of it is just like, I'd rather have a banana or something like
Yeah.
that. Something that I know is going to, nourish my body, is nutrient dense, and, is going to help bolster our immune systems and, prevent us from being sick. Another things, I know we've been talking heavily about food, but, I kind of want to pivot at this point and talk about some of the other things that I feel are really contributing not only to our mental health, or our physical health, but our mental health as well. And that is being outside and getting into the sun and, soaking it in as much as possible. It is the best source of vitamin D that you can get. And, I used to wear sunglasses. Now I'm not wearing sunglasses. I'm letting the sun get in through my eyes. I'm letting the sun get on my skin. And, just it's helping just rejuvenate everything about everything. It's one of the greatest medicines out there.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say something real quick about the sweet tooth thing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think what helps
Sorry.
also, no, is that we're learning a lot about raw honey, and I've been consuming it on the daily, and I don't know if that helps, but I love having it in my cup of coffee. I know you love putting it on your meat, and we're learning about all of its amazing benefits to our immune systems, and then even to our teeth. I know like there's a couple of dentists out there, holistic
Yeah.
dentists, that are talking about the benefits of raw honey overall for our system, and we've been doing that on the reg too, which is kind of nice because, like you said, I don't really crave anything sweet either. I haven't bought a dark chocolate bar in a long time at the grocery store. Ice cream doesn't even really get me excited anymore because I know how I'm gonna feel, because most of the time it's not like super well processed or non-processed, you know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, so the raw honey has definitely been like, if I am like wanting something sweet, it's definitely like a great, I don't know, adjustment.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, there's some great fruits and stuff like that are a good substitute that are just nutrient dense and just great for you.
Yeah, but as far as mindset, absolutely 100% with just getting outside. And I used to be a runner back in the day. Well, that's kind of physical, but shit, I'm convoluting them some. Mindset, sorry, let me pivot here. Okay, so not only getting outside, but I will say I used to have a acupuncturist who was basically my therapist.
Yes, yeah.
And I went to her for infertility reasons, and I kind of stayed with her for about three years maybe, and she basically helped me through a lot of tough times and stress in my life. And I kept thinking, like, when we moved to Virginia, I need to find a replacement. I'm really gonna miss her. Come to find out, she instilled a lot of amazing practices in me and tools that I can use. So I think I was quick to try and replace her, but realizing I can't replace her and the relationship we had. But I've found a lot of great tools for my mindset. One of them being really easy is just reading good shit at night.
Yeah.
Or straight and like start my day and end my day. Like, it doesn't have to be 5 chapters. It could be a quote. It could be a couple paragraphs. Anything that I know it's going to uplift my inside, so that way I'm feeling confident and just loving myself, to show up with the day, to be more patient, to be more grounded, to go with the flow of life, to be more present with Lucille, which is so needed in parenthood. I believe it's hard to kind of, I don't know, sometimes savor the moments when it could be really tough with parenting. And so that has been getting outside and reading good stuff has been extremely helpful with priming my mind.
Yeah, one of the things that I discovered earlier this year, and it's just kind of around the same time that, I was really diving into the nutrition stuff. Like, you'd always been kind of in tune with that, but like I had kind of a eureka moment when we went out to Arizona in February. And I was just consuming a lot of new material, learning more about the animal-based diet. And, one day I just remember, and I think this was before we went to Arizona, but like I just remember being very agitated. And I guess I had a long day at work, and I was just very short, with Lucille after I got off. And there was time where I know I should have been enjoying time with her, but for some reason, like, just the smallest things were just making me like really just anxious and just short. And so, you've always told me, and yes, you were right, I'm saying that, but you always told me, even when, I was working, before the pandemic, you're like, did you go outside and walk? And I'd always be like, no, I didn't. Well, now, like, I find that that's such a rejuvenating part of my day, and I take it midday. I go outside and take a 40-minute walk, during my lunch, and I mean, it's just done miracles for my mindset. And I show up better for Lucille later in the day when I get off of work. But just more importantly, like, it breaks up that work day for me too. Like, it is a ritual now. It is not even like, it's almost a non-negotiable. I can maybe count on one hand how many days that I've missed walking
Proud of you.
during lunch since I've made that decision. So yeah, I mean, it's not just a physical thing, because walking is good for you, but it's great for my mental clarity. And again, it helps me show up and be my best for you, Jill, and for Lucille. So yeah, I highly encourage building in some time for any kind of physical activity, whether you like to run, whether you like to walk, if you like to hit up the gym, or, in the house, I do push-ups and squats, and some planks, in my office between meetings and stuff like that. That's just where I fit it in. But like, you can build it into your day, and it's very easy.
Yeah, I think, well, it sounds easy. I know it's hard to start a habit, but
it is hard to start a habit. That is true.
I think just starting small and picking one thing and just integrating it, and then just seeing how it feels. Like, I'm glad Nick felt the benefits of being recharged and rejuvenated, just taking walks. And now it's like, you don't want to stop. That feeling is like amazing. Like, why would we stop what feels good, especially if it's from nature? Like, it just seems silly. But I had one more thing to add to mindset. One thing that's been helping me tremendously is just writing. Writing what's in my head, writing maybe if I'm dreaming about something and I'm excited about it, just jotting it down. Sometimes I don't even know what I want to write about, and then I'll just put pen to paper and things will just come up. It could be fears, it could be anxiety, it could just be these little tiny negative narratives in my head that I think are just inhibiting me from growth and from enjoying my life. So writing has definitely unfolded and got a lot of shit out of my head on paper. And then once you read it, you realize how like ridiculous some of it sounds. And I'm like, why would I why would I even let that run my life and control it? Like the brain is just so powerful and magical, and it is like one of the greatest tools that I think inhibits us from doing what we truly want to do in life and living the best life that we, or intentional life that we want. So I would just say, like, there's no method to my madness with writing. It's literally like I just sit there, and if something comes up, or I'm thinking about the day of something we want to do, or an activity will be happening with Lucille, and a feeling will come up, and I'll just start writing. And it's been basically kind of like my therapist in a way. I just get it out and reread it, and then realize, like, I can totally pivot from this and redirect my thoughts and have a much better day.
Absolutely. That's one area where I've not explored as much as you, and an area that I'm intrigued by, and I want to start doing that. So that is something I will incorporate. I mean, we've been making a ton of changes, and you got to get comfortable with what you're doing before you can add something else. And that's kind of like my next step, is like, that's one area where I want to really explore. And so, yeah, that's going to be something that I add to the list this year.
Well, you do a form of writing. Our
Yeah.
journals, I will say, the art of just kind of like jotting down what our goals are, plans, things we want to improve on, like having things that we want to do to get better, or just things that we want to have fun this year. Like having that down on paper and being able to look at it all the time and go back and reflect, like that aspect of writing, I feel like it gets all of that stuff out of your head, and it's fresh right there. So if you forget what your goals were, it's kind of like this great reminder, like, hey, remember when you said you wanted to do this? It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, let me see if I can try, if this is going to work for this month or this month, and giving yourself grace. And like, it's okay if I don't get everything done, but it's nice to always be reminded of what you were dreaming about at the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
and how's that shifted, and what have you accomplished. So that is a beautiful act, I think, that you are doing. You're not giving yourself credit for. It's just the art of planning and writing that shit down.
That's true. But yeah, want to get more thoughts by Jack Handy down.
Jack Handy?
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, that's from what was that show? Not Mad TV. I think it's like Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy or something like
I used
that.
to love that too.
Yeah. Another area that I wanted to explore here, because I feel like we do go against the grain on that, although I could be totally wrong, but our sleep game is on point. And what I mean by that is that you and I both get a solid 8 hours of sleep, uninterrupted sleep, almost every night. And I feel like that is just not something as a society that we strive for. Like I know there's a lot of people out there like, sleep is for the weak, and especially the the entrepreneurial type. It's just like, who needs sleep when you can be doing X, Y, and Z, and sleep is such an important thing, and it's what rejuvenates you. It's what helps you keep you at optimal health. It helps with memory. There's just so many things about sleep, and I'm reading this really good book right now. It's called Why We Sleep, and it's just amazing to me, like all the benefits of getting sleep and good sleep, and getting the full time of sleep and falling asleep at the same time, with your circadian rhythm. Like it's just so important, and so we have a cycle. Like you and I are pretty much asleep between 10:45 and 11, and we wake up at 7 a.m. So that's our solid 8 hours of sleep. Now I know there's a lot of people who are out there like, well, you need to get up early at like 5:45 and seize the day, but what I'm learning is like not everybody's cycle is like that, and you have to really just kind of be in tune with how you are. And I think, people are starting to get a little bit more flexible in this day and age of like remote working, is that, some people are better later in the morning. Some people are early risers and, like to get stuff done right away. I'm all about playing to your strengths and showing up when you're at your best. So like, yeah, that, when you fall asleep is it's kind of up to you, but like as long as you're getting that solid uninterrupted sleep for 8 hours, like that's just a huge key to optimal health. And I think that's a big part for why you and I stay healthy, and I'm gonna knock on some wood here.
Oh, God.
Through the last 2.5 years, and overall in life, is that we value sleep. Like that is something that is very important to us.
and we don't have any babies, so I know like that can't be helped. Clearly, if you have young
Yeah,
ones,
yeah,
that
absolutely.
is a necessity that you just have to
No, you're just gonna let them
gotta
cry
surrender.
the entire night without anything.
But yeah, but like with all these topics, like I know there's so many nuances and there's going to be like, it's a lot of gray. So like, yeah, there are going to be like consistently Nick and I sleep very well. But yeah, I mean, there's 1 or 2 nights, maybe like a month, if maybe like I can't, but it's very rare. So I'm just going to keep listening to my body. And it's kind of funny how we're both diving into topics and reading and researching just like basic need books like
Yeah,
sleep,
yeah.
food, mindset. It's like the most basic things that we really weren't trained well in our life.
Life has
That
just
now
gotten
we're
so
going back.
complicated. And I
Amen.
think we've overcomplicated the basic things in lives that help us stay healthy and keep us, you know, moving forward as human beings. And it's really that I think we're kind of now coming back full circle. I think a lot of people have had a wake up call in the last 2.5 years and are now prioritizing their health and prioritizing their self-care and their mindset. Like we've been through hell a lot of us have been through hell in the last 2 years, and some people have thrived during this time and other people's have struggled. We've been in the mindset from the very beginning is we're gonna find a way to thrive through this thing, and we don't want to change our lives very much. We still love to travel. There's still a lot of things that we love to do, and we have discovered a lot of things about ourselves and have built ourselves for the better because of this whole situation.
Well, it's funny you said we don't want to change our lives, but I'm thinking like so many shifts and changes have happened. But I know what you mean.
Well,
of,
yeah,
like,
I meant like
we still want to
the more
feel.
the social aspect
I know,
and us doing the things that we want to
Totally.
do. But yeah, I mean we did change a lot of our lives though. I mean we moved 3 hours from our home and don't don't regret it one bit. Like we are where we're supposed to be right now, and it's we listen to ourselves, we listen to the universe, whatever you want to call it. We took advantage of a situation that
Timing was
could
right
have
for
gone
us.
every way. So yeah. It's about again kind of again going back to that mindset is just finding the positives in situations where it's maybe not be the best of times or so yeah.
And I think all of these things that can be under the health umbrella have in common is that all of these I think involve, at least in my perspective, slowing the fuck down. Like
Yes.
slowing down and just taking inventory of like, how do I feel? What do I
Yeah.
want? What are some small changes I can make? What can I take off my plate? What do I want to add to my plate? So I think all of this has in common is that we had to slow our life down to really listen and feel what was happening, because I know there's when you're have a full-time job and you're like you have a big mortgage and like you've got kids and it's like all of these things, this hamster wheel is going and you feel like I don't have a breather. When I sit down, I probably just want to like maybe watch TV or Netflix, or just like maybe I just want to sleep. So I think just creating space or finding the space and making it happen no matter what chaos is in your life, just to listen and make time to like take inventory of just how you feel and how are you working, and not to settle for anything less, and just, I don't know, finding ways to optimize any weaknesses or struggles that you may have, I think have been really key in our journey for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it's been being very intentional with our time and even our quote unquote downtime. Do we want to watch Netflix or do we want to read something that's going to help improve, our lives and, our daughter's life? So like, there's just, we have that choice, and, we oftentimes, do we watch Netflix every now and then? Sure.
YouTube TV.
Yeah. YouTube TV, whatever. It's on every now and then, but for the most part, we're being very intentional with our time, trying to learn and grow and be our best selves, and be the best parents we can be for Lucille. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Oh, and I know I don't think we talked much about movement besides walking, but I just want to say that my quote unquote gym routine right now is playing tag, duck, duck, goose, walking in nature. I lift these 34-pound weights every day. It's called Lucille, my
Yeah.
daughter. We've been swimming a lot. I've been biking a lot on our e-bike, which has been really fun. I run from time to time when I have to play tag. Running isn't really my bag so much, but I will run with children. So that's my like crazy gym routine that's just filling up my cup these days.
Yeah, mine's doing perfect form push-ups in front of you.
It's pretty sexy.
Yeah.
I agree.
Awesome. Well, anything else you wanted to add? I think we covered a lot of different topics on health here, but is there anything else you wanted to bring to the mix here, Jilly?
Just that I hope who's ever listening just knows that we're absolutely not perfect, and
No.
we know health is not black and white, but we did want to just share our personal journey so far. And I know a lot of things we are doing, it may not be the norm. It may not be what, your local cohort or society might be doing. But so going against the grain as far in this aspect, we've been having amazing benefits inwardly and outwardly. And if you guys want to chat more about this, like please hit us up on Instagram, simplify.chaos with the K. That would be awesome to hear about your journeys and things you're learning, because we're always growing alongside with you.
Hell yeah. All right, we've dropped a lot of resources in this episode here for you, which we will put in the show notes. But Jilly, what resource do you have for our listeners in our resource section?
I found a blog post that was titled 12 Benefits of Inner Peace. I know like we've dropped a lot of nutrition stuff, so I thought it would be fun to go dive inward.
Let's do it.
You might have a busy, hectic lifestyle. Inner peace might sound like an unachievable fantasy for you. You might feel like peace and calm are about as out of reach as winning the lottery. But peace isn't merely the absence of noise or chaos. Inner peace is an intentional decision you have to make each day, sometimes even multiple times during the day. In essence, inner peace is having peace of mind mentally, physiologically, and spiritually. There are many amazing benefits to making the choice to live with inner peace, regardless of what your life looks like right now. Here are 12 of the many benefits of having inner peace, and I'm just going to read them, but they dive into each one specifically.
Sounds
good. Which will be in the show notes. Number 1, improved health. Number 2, better sleep. Number 3, improved relationships. Number 4, the ability to focus. Number 5, being free from the past. Number 6, living in the present moment. Number 7, the feeling of self-control. Number 8, patience with yourself and others. Number 9, not worrying about what others think. Mm-hmm. Number 10, intentional living. Number 3, others cannot...
Intentional living? What is that?
Number 11, others cannot manipulate you. And number 12, more energy. And that's it. But they dive into each of these specifically. It's just, unfortunately, we don't have all the time to do that with you, but it'll definitely be the link in the show notes. I thought that list was like really unique on some of them, and I did not think about, but when I was like shaking my head as I was reading it, I'm like, yeah, I got that. Yeah, I got that too. Okay, I'm going the right direction, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good resource. So check that out in the show notes. Like Jill said, we will drop the link in there. And Jilly, how about the quote of the day?
The quote of the day is from Anonymous.
Hip Hop Anonymous.
When your body, mind, and soul are aligned with nature, optimal health can be yours.
So true.
So true.
It is. All right, and your take action challenge today is?
Make your health your bitch. I don't
know.
That was a little harsh.
That was a little harsh. But I think, I think your take action challenges is to really kind of, look in and see, if there's anything you want to improve. And if so, find the right resources and make the change.
Experiment, man. So many of these changes have happened just because we're like, let's see how we feel.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Then we either continue it or we're like, yeah, it's not for us. So I think health is all about, it's one big experiment, which I think no one talks about either. Yeah. It's like experimenting safely though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, take the risk if it's for your health's sake.
And take a cold shower. That's another way I'm going against the grain right now. And it's amazing.
Yeah, they are. I
agree.
So
that's your bonus.
Ew.
Against the grain.
A little cold sprinkle
That's
there.
Right.
Cool.
All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you like this episode, please do us a favor and help us spread the message. You can do this by writing a review or simply by sharing this episode with a friend. And remember, sharing sparks a conversation, conversation leads to action, and action is how we're able to live a happy and intentional as hell lifestyle. We want to thank you all for listening today, and we will see you again next week.
See y'all later.